Welcome to the viewers and learners of the certificate and course in consumer protection. Today we are going to discuss an important topic called the meaning of the consumer and consumerism. It is covered in our course code CPA 101, block number 1 and the unit 1, para 3. We have already discussed in detail about the meaning of the consumer in another videos, which I am sure you would have watched or you will be watching. And today the emphasis will be on more on the consumerism. However, for the sake of brevity and convenience, I will still take the subject, the meaning of the consumer. Thereafter, I will go for the consumerism, which is the important discussion today. Now, let us discuss what is the meaning of the consumer. As each and every learner of the certificate in consumer protection should have proper understanding of the word or the consumer. Consumer, the law itself defines the consumer in various ways. Then it is provided in the consumer. The person, as per the act, is it includes, it's an inclusive definition. So if a person may be an individual like you and me, or it may be anybody from child onwards, the elderly person or no age limit and all, that's can be any individual living natural person. Then second is a firm, either registered or unregistered, because the firms also need the goods for their own use and utility use for using it. Similarly, into undivided family, the family, say for instance, as an individual, I may be needing a laptop for individual purpose, but an individual, the family of the head of the family, for the entire family, he may go for a television, a refrigerator, which are for the usage of the entire family. So, individual requires purchases also covered, and the family requirements also covered under this. Then a cooperative society, again a cooperative society in a legal entity. It's a society registered under the Cooperative Societies Act and the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act. They are also having the legal status, and the society, in furtherance to fulfilling its own objectives, if it require any goods, it may be in the form of office furnitures, or it may be a refrigerator for the things and all, or it may be purchase of buildings also, all those things. It requires the consumption of the goods. Similarly, an association of persons, again association of person registered under society registration or regardless of it also. So association of the persons, is why there is a need for association of person when it is not possible for an individual to fulfill his own requirement by himself. Then if it is possible to be fulfilled or achieved with the group by joining hands with other person, then there is a need for the association of the persons. One example I can give you, see the depositors of a bank or a person having the deposits of bank. See, very recently or very often, some of the banks, when they go into losses, then the Reserve Bank of India put restrictions on the withdrawal of the money by the account holders. No, that is naturally when deposit we keep in a bank is for our own immediate demand. It may be for immediate consumption, it may be immediate need. Very often the problem faced by this say deposit holders when there such restrictions put, or when they made all the arrangements for the marriage, solemn marriage with their own children. But the cards have been printed, all the bookings have been made. At that time, the bank gone into liquidation, serious problem. The Reserve Bank made a condition that put a restriction on the number of withdrawals in a month. Quantum of withdrawal maybe 30,000 or 40,000. But we all know we have a money in our deposit account with lakhs of rupees, but it is not possible to solemnize a marriage with a paltry amount of 50,000 rupees. And each and every individual cannot go before the consumer forum or a banking ombudsman. Some large number of people will go, then there will be a large number of cases to be filed. But in such circumstances, these deposit holders, these affected deposit holders, they can come together, form an association or an association to fight their common causes. So therefore, such type of associations formed for fighting the common causes, they can also become the consumer under the Consumer Protection Act. Now, any corporation, company or a body of individuals, whether incorporated or not, again company, it may be a registered or unregistered company, it may be a public sector undertaking, or it may be even the private body also, it may be any body registered or unregistered, they also need certain consumption goods for their own, say association or company purposes. Same thing, only see even the purchase of a car, purchase of cars for giving to their own officers concerned. So they purchase the cars or any other things, renting of the buildings and all, where the house construction is a part of the, it's a services covered in the Consumer Protection Act. So the corporation or any other company or a body of individuals, they also come under the definition of the consumers. Now, any artificial juristic persons, if any apart from the above, under the above, any entity, artificial person not falling under the above the any category also covered under the definition of the consumer. Just to nutshell and summarize it, even the government can become the biggest consumer, largest consumer, sorry, because the government also needs a lot of the goods for their own office, even the cars I said, even they have to for anything central. So now let us move to, then there are two types of consumers. Consumers who buys the goods, consumer who have the services. Let us first take the consumer who buys the goods or the buyer of the goods. Who are those? Again, it is defined under the Act, Consumer Protection Act 2019. Now, consumer refers to a person. Again, it's a natural person. Again, person includes all those 7 categories. Who buys the goods for consideration, which has been paid or fully paid or partly paid or promised fully to payable or partly payable under any system of deferred payment. It's a definition. It includes of goods other than the person who buys such goods when the said goods is for the upload. Purchase does not include a person who obtains such goods for resale or any commercial. This is another exemption. If a person who purchases the goods for own consumption, that is covered under this. A person who purchases the goods for retail or commercial purpose, that is not covered. For example, and then the reality also, the producer, the original producer or the manufacturer, they are not in direct contact with the final consumers. But in between there are the distributors, wholesaler, retailer who are come in the chain of this marketing, and say the producer, he gives the goods to the producer, the goods he gives to the distributor, the distributor, and gives the responsibility of marketing it, and the distributor finds the wholesaler, and the wholesaler then look to the retailer, then comes to the final consumer. Therefore, in this case, the purchase made by the wholesaler or the retailer or the distributor, are they coming in the definition of the consumer? The answer is no. For the simple reason, these people are engaged in the trade, this marketing activity for the purpose of making profit only. Because therefore, it's for a commercial purpose. Commercial purpose means the activity undertaken for the purpose of earning profit. The trader, whole trader, what is his job is to purchase at a particular price, then to sell it at by keeping his own margin. So it's naturally it's a commercial purpose only. So therefore, purchase made for a commercial purpose is not covered under. However, even though this purchase may be look like a commercial purpose, but the purchase is made for his own earning, his livelihood, then it is covered under the consumer definition. Let me give another example. For transport operator who is having the large number of buses, even taxis, they have to engage the drivers. So actually, engagement of driver for playing hundreds of buses or drivers is naturally for a commercial purpose, because his intention is to earn profit. On the contrary, if a driver, he knows him driving, he purchases only one car or one bus, and himself drives the vehicle, and with this thing he is purchased the vehicle for the purpose of making earning to meet the needs of the family members. Therefore, it looks like a bus is for a commercial purpose, but in this case, is a single driver purchasing a single bus for meeting his family requirement, that will be treated as the purchase for meeting the personal livelihood. So that type of purchase will not covered under the commercial purpose. I think with this is sufficient enough. We can move further. Again, coming back to services. Services means service refers to a person who hires or avails the services for a consider. Again, same logic, their consideration applies here also, which has been paid fully or partly, that's okay. Then second clause includes the again same thing on there, a stranger is also covered, like the thief enters the vehicle, gets the possession of the vehicle, and he is also covered under the for the income insurance purpose. Similarly, while availing service also, it is not that the original person who avail the services, he alone should be involved in this. With the what is required in the law says, even the service availed is used by the third party with the consent of the original hirer, then that third party is also covered in the definition of this services concern. Again, there's an exclusion, but it does not include person who avails. Let me also come back to what are the services covered under the Act. What are the services covered under the Act? All type of services, including banking, insurance, housing, medical facilities, telecommunication, transport, which include air travel, rail travel, road transport, all those things are covered under this. Then your legal profession. If an advocate failed to appear before the court on a specified on the date given by the court, or if he is not arguing, failed to argue your case in your favor, or failed to appear the court, but not with adequate preparation. In all such cases are also covered in the consumer protection, meaning thereby we as the consumer file a case against the advocate or the legal professional on the ground that they failed to appear, or they appeared but not argued the case properly to the full capacity and competency. So that is also covered under this. Postal service in any case covered under. With these are the services covered in the consumer protection system. Now let us move to the second part of the discussion on consumerism. So far we have discussed about who is the consumer, who are the person covered under the second. Now what the consumerism means, that we are going to discuss now. Consumerism means, or it refers to the protection of the interest of the buyers of the goods and the hirer of the services against defective goods or the deficient service. This is very, very important. Consumerism means it talks about the protection of the interest of the consumers, or consumers of buyer of goods and the consumers of hirer of the services against what? Against defective goods sold or deficient services rendered. So in other words, consumerism is the economic ideology as well as social ideology which seeks to get redressal or remedy for the dissatisfaction that has arisen or undergone by the consumer while purchasing the goods or hiring of the service concerned. That is what in a nutshell consumerism is. Then consumerism or the consumer, it otherwise also means the satisfy the consumer or the consumer satisfaction. And this consumer satisfaction not only benefit the business, not only benefit the individuals, but it also benefits at large the government and the society at large and all other components, all other individuals. Next important one should understand from where it evolved, the evolution of the consumerism across the globe. That one should understand. First we'll see across the globe, particularly still in the United States of America, then we come back to the consumerism, evolution of consumerism in India is concerned. Now let us state how it evolved in the United States of America. The idea of consumerism was first conceived in the USA around the beginning of the 20th century. So we can call it as the 1900 onwards, 1930 or so, the first phase of the evolution of consumerism. What is the practice or what is the difficulty or the dissatisfaction undergone the consumers in America was with specific reference to that meat used to be sold in a very unhealthy and unhygienic manner, which has affected the health of the consumers at large. The people were finding it very difficult to get solution or relief for that. That is when it was in the period 1900 or so. Then many of the firms used to produce dangerous and unwanted products and drugs and to sell them to the consumers by adopting manipulative practices. Means they will be selling unadulterated goods, they will be selling manipulative practices. This type of practice were followed. You know, even if we come back to the India, if you go to the Arthashastra, there are 4 types of consumer exploitation recorded in that no goods sold which is excessive of the prices fixed by the trader, or goods sold with underweighing with a lesser weights. Then number 3, goods sold with the colorable with the mixing of the adulterated goods. So these are the things called in the Indian context also. Similar practice also explained in other parts of the world also. So many then conscious and sensible consumers were unhappy with this state of affairs and started a campaign to protect the interests of the consuming public of these particular meat and meat related products and this drugs and drug related products. That was the beginning of the first time, or 1900 or so. Then the second phase around 1930 onwards, the consumerism has been greater importance as people in general became more enlightened and concerned about the standards of good quality products, because the awareness has been created by publicity, by the people started say discussing the matter publicly by holding meetings and all those things. By in this way, the knowledge and the awareness for the need for sale of the good quality products, say with the purity and all that has been made to the public, and more and more will come to know the need for all those such type of the precautions to be taken by the sellers and buyers. So they put pressure on the traders and sellers that please don't follow or adopt this type of unethical practices and all. And again, what is the reason for large number of people becoming aware of the this problem faced in the defect in the goods on different service faced while purchase of goods and the hiring of the services? This was mainly due to education, consumer education, awareness, knowledge and political consciousness also. What is consumer education is very, very important. So it's like analogous to a person with a torch entering a dark room. In a dark room, if you enter, you will not be in a position to see anything. But if a person enters the dark room with a torch in his hand, then with the help of the torch, he will be in a position to see what are the items or the goods say kept in the room is concerned. So this torch in the hands of a person in a while entering a dark room is nothing but an education. So if you are educated, then you will be in a position to make other people aware of the advantages and disadvantages of particular purchase of product and sale of goods, and also hiring of the services. Then the United USA government also came with a legislation called the Miller-Titching Act in 1930s in order to regulate certain marketing of malpractices. So this is the first consumer protection legislation. Now we will enter in the third phase from 1960 onwards. Very important. John F. Kennedy, he was a pioneer in bringing the consumer rights in the United States. Later on, it was adopted by the United Nations also, that will be seen subsequently. The late President John F. Kennedy in the year 1962, very important, passed a legislation to protect the rights of the consumer, particularly with regard to the right to safety, right to be informed, right to choose and right to be heard, which later became or known as the Consumer Bill of Rights in the 1960. Very briefly, what is right to safety? Right to safety means the goods sold should have the all safety measures or the standards. For example, I gave this Coca-Cola or soft drinks. No, we have come across in the papers, in the case come to the court also, the soft drinks sold contained contaminated item, foreign particles, dead insects inside this soft drinks. Cases come before the court of law. So it affects the right, the safety of it definitely affect the health. It contributes the health hazard. If anybody drinks such a soft drink with insects, a dead insect inside, definitely it affects the health of the person concerned, and such type of things affect the right of the person concerned, right to safety guaranteed by the person is concerned. Similarly, right to be informed, very important right. A person should have a right to be informed about the purity, quality, standard, price, potency. All the consumer should be informed about all these things. Like whenever you purchase any goods, in the label and all, even these days in the rural areas, semi-urban areas, the goods that is the goods which the expiry dated goods are being sold in a large scale, because in the rural area people are uneducated. They are not aware of what is this the quality of the lifespan of the product is concerned. Very often, even the railways, where it has come to the notice of the courts, the drinks, food sold, Shatabdi Express, if you travel, the drinks are part of the price fixed by the railways, and where it brought to the notice of concern, at some point of time, this drinks sold or served or outdated, means the lost that validity period is lost. So it is a common thing. So a person should, in many cases, in the rural places, again semi-urban area, the price should be in the printed say, goods. The price has to be printed in the label. But there are certain direct sales takes place, like rice, wheat, in the direct market or all things. Then the shopkeeper has to put a price list in front of his shop. But if you go to make a survey of your own place, you will seldom find the shopkeeper keeping the price list. But it is the right of the person to know what is the price of the commodity which he intend to purchase or buy. So the right to be informed. The right to choose. Right to choose, you have the choice. We have the right to choose among the various varieties or the brands available. Again, we have often come across a tacit understanding between the a distributor or a wholesaler vis-a-vis the retail shopkeeper, that you promote particular brand of my brand, then so that I'll give a proper money. It is pharmaceutical companies. What they say, this drugs manufacturers, they have their own understanding with the shopkeepers. If you promote my particular, for each and every ailment, for example, for a headache, analgesic, novel, there is 5 to 6 varieties of tablets are available. But similarly, for all those things it's not only one tablet is available. So the shopkeepers and this medical representative, they come to an understanding. They have an understanding that there is a margin is given if they despite having the particular different type of products for the same ailment, they will promote one. The shopkeeper will tell that only this particular tablet is available, forcing indirectly, making the consumer to purchase only that type of brand of medicine on which he is likely to get this higher margin. So it affects the right to choose among the various variables and all. Then right to be heard, like I talked about the depositors association. So the depositor association, they should have their right should be heard at the appropriate political platforms or policy making bodies. So that's what. So these are the 4 rights enhanced by the Justice John F. Kennedy, and which later on came as a Bill of Rights. Ultimately, this United Nations adopted all those, added few more rights, 4 more rights, and it is given the United Nations regulations on the Consumer Protection Act in the year 1985, followed by 1989 and 2015. What are the 4 rights adopted by the United Nations? The 4 more rights. The right to satisfaction of basic needs. What is this basic needs? Roti kapda makan. Those are the basic needs. Then right to redressal. When the consumer is having grievances, that must be a platform available for getting relief on those things and all. The Consumer Protection Act provided for the creation and the establishment of the district consumer forum at the district level, state commission at the state level, national commission at the national level for settlement of the grievances. So consumer redressal is provided, and it is a right. It is a right of the consumer is concerned. The right to consumer education. I discussed about what we are doing. This IGNOU, Indira Gandhi National University, our Gyan Vani and Gyan Darshan, through which we are spreading awareness on education. It's a part of the consumer education. The right to a healthy environment. So we have to be today under this COVID. We all know what is the importance of healthy environment. We as a family members, as a citizen, we have the major responsibility. Like we can give one example. No, this disposal of the waste materials collected from the residents. See, the municipal corporate, they have the guidelines that the resident should have this household wastage into wet and dry. These wastages, it should be kept in different baskets and should be kept separately. But many of the residences, many of the inmates of the houses, we don't follow this guidelines because it is affecting our own health. If we don't maintain our own environment, healthy environment, we are going to be affected only. So right to healthy environment is one of the valuable rights of this consumer rights is concerned, and therefore these are adopted by the United Nations on this thing. After this, adding this, then Consumer International adopted these rights as a charter and started recognizing as March as the World Consumer Right. That's what. So consumer. Now let us come to the consumerism in India. And consumerism in India also, there is the major cause of consumerism in India have been identified as a rise in prices, poor product performance and service quality, and product shortages and deceptive advertisement infiltration. The government of India has been very responsive to consumer needs through the legislative action. This paved way for the consumer, and the unrest and agitation forced him to stand up for their rights in order to get their grievances redressed. Now, the profit-making attitude of the business owners led to the failure of the discharging their social responsibilities, maintaining fair price, providing good quality of goods and services and all. The majority of problems in the consumers in India include adulteration of goods, creating artificial scarcity I discussed, and charging unreasonable prices and all. With this, let me conclude our discussion on this consumer and consumerism. Thank you very much for listening to the lecture. Thank you very much.